Good evening, Tay and J's Horror Slaves fans. How you guys been doing? We are back with another review. We actually went to see Imaginary. That was actually pretty cool. There were some things that we kind of both agreed were kind of like typical horror movie buggity bullshit. But with that being said, kick back, get your blankets. Please don't talk to any imaginary friends, and let's go.
Let's go. This movie was released March 8th, 2024, directed by Jeff Wadlow, 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, starring DeWanda Wise, Tegan Burns, Piper Braun, Tom Payne, and Betty Buckley. So, yeah. I like the movie. I mean, it was... that's where I'm starting. I'm going to start with saying I liked it. On the scale, we'll get to like my actual ratings, but it was like probably just above average, and maybe it had to do with the fact that my expectations for it were really low, because y'all don't know this, but what we do is we actually see the trailers. Like, we'll go on YouTube and watch the trailers and see what we think of this year's horror movies and all of this stuff. And this year's horror movies, we were not impressed by any of the trailers we've seen.
Exactly.
So this Imaginary was probably the better looking one of all the ones we've seen. But my expectations for it were still really low because it still was just okay in the trailer. So they surprised me. They had maybe one or two aspects of it that actually shocked me. The reveal was pretty good on how they did it, and it did the horror movie genre, I don't want to say justice, but it did okay.
See, the thing I felt about it is, yes, it brought a lot of, scare factor to the nuance of imaginary friends. Like, I feel like it was, to me, what hide and seek should have been, but also with their end result, hide and seek had a very good ending result. It wasn't executed the best, but again, that was like 2006 or whatever the hell that movie came out, 2003, something like that. But the point of the matter is that I feel like it was executed very well in that aspect, as far as like the imaginary friend thing. And I never had an imaginary friend. I don't know what that's like. A lot of kids did. I don't know what that's like to have an imaginary friend, but for it to be something that horrifying was very crazy to me. So there was a lot that they did do that I really did agree with. The shock factor, like finding out that she, Jess, that was her imaginary friend, and she was seeing that bear the whole time, and that the daughter, Alice, was never carrying that bear the entire time. She would just walk around with a fake imaginary, I can't say fake, but imaginary friend the whole time, but it wasn't actually anything physical. So I really did agree with that. I really thought that was pretty cool. And the imaginary land that they went to, I think that was awesome. It was everything nightmares were made of. Like, you know what I mean? So I really agree with that. But I feel like there was some like obvious like little ticks that I had with it that kind of was like, okay, like, I think the point of the story, the build up of it was kind of like, okay, this is very cliche. We've seen that so many times. Okay, here's the cast, here's the loving family, here's the teenage daughter who hates everything, here is the whole aspect of, oh, is this paranormal, is it not paranormal? Like, I think there was too many like up and down motions going on with that part of the story. And I mean, even though they engage you, but it was kind of like, for us horror movie fans, we've seen that trope over and over and over again, and I feel like we just didn't need that.
Yes, I also agree. Like you said, like that actually was one of the reveals, finding out that the bear was never there. And I ain't gonna lie, it shocked me because I thought the bear talking to her was the imaginary part, not the actual bear itself was completely imaginary altogether. That blew my mind. I was like, okay, that's crazy. And finding out, I mean, I kind of expected especially because of the trailer, like they kind of hinted at it was originally her imaginary friend, so that part wasn't like super shocking to me. I was just like, okay. And then like you said, like there were a lot of things we've seen in every horror movie where it's just like, okay.
Oh, let's not even just get into the fact of the jump scares were things that we clearly seen. Like, jump scares are good to me when they are like actually unsettling. Like when the daughter Taylor was in the room, and then like, you know, they did that little like merry-go-round like toy or whatever, and then the bear like appeared, and it was like gruesome and like with all these fangs, and it was just standing there breathing, looking at her. That was scary to me. But not going like, duh, and then you see something like, yeah, that wasn't the part that scared me. It was, I mean, yeah, it made me jump because it's just the trope of it. But the part that made me actually terrified was something like that. So I feel like they kind of like, they relied a little too much on the jump scares. I feel like they had, like, for the most part, a good cast. I mean, they had my girl Jess, you know, who played in, I think it was Jurassic World Dominion. And then they had, it was the last Jurassic World. Was that called Dominion?
I think so.
I want to say it was. And then they had, you know, the younger kid, Alice, which Alice was a good addition to kids, you know, because kid actors aren't really all that great, but she was really good. Mm-hmm. The sister Taylor, even though she has my same name, it was like, okay. But the dad, aka Jesus from The Walking Dead, you know what I mean? Like, it took me a while to figure out who that was, but I mean, you know, he did pretty good for the most part. Excuse me, playing that, like, oh, I'm soft and cynical dad, like, everything's great. Like, I'm just like, okay, it's not, though, but...
And he was only there for half of the movie.
Yeah, so it was like, I kind of get it. Like, even the nosy neighbor, you know, and it's going to bother me because I know where she's from. It's going to bother me. But, yeah, like, everybody kind of played their role in it. You know what I mean? So, it worked, but then there was other parts that just didn't work with it. Like, you had a great ensemble, you had them playing the parts they need to play, and then you kind of threw in all of the same overused tropes we see in horror movies all day, every day. Yeah, even with the whole, you know, with the ball going down there and all that stuff, and it's like, oh, this is what I gave to her earlier. Like, it didn't. Horror movies have to really make me feel like terrified when I'm leaving them, and this didn't do that. Did it have some scary moments? Yes, but it did not leave me extremely terrified.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know if that fully has to do with, like, I don't know if that has to do with the fact of it just not being scary, or the fact that I never had an imaginary friend either. Like, I mean, I had a brother and even though he didn't want to hang out with me for real, but it was like I didn't really have no reason for an imaginary friend, because I mean, also I had, like, not only did I have a brother, I had cousins, I had people that I hung out with, so I didn't really need an imaginary friend.
That's what it was. She was the older lady in Split, the psychologist. That's where I know her from.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she's been in like 1,001 things, but that's her being older. That's specifically what was in my head. But go ahead.
Okay. I also, like, for example, like, one of the tropes that kind of, like, I liked it, but it kind of got on my nerves afterwards, was the part where, like, they did a really good job with showing her having this tea party or whatever, and you see a shadow moving in the room, and you're like, what the heck is that? But then they changed the camera view to being in front of just looking behind her, and you see what the imaginary friend well, I guess,
Taunting.
yeah, what you assume was the imaginary friend standing behind her, and you're like, yo, what the heck is that? That's crazy. And then right after that, the girl's biological mom jumps out and like grabs on to Jess, and it was just like, you messed it up. Like, you messed it. Like it started out good with you showing that view, but the jump scare was unneeded. Like, you could have just kept the you literally could have just kept the suspense with that,
Right.
and had it differently. Like, but it just, that was one of the things that bothered me. There's a few other things that like really bother me, but I just want to go to the next reveal. The next reveal that actually shocked me was the old lady neighbor being a psychopath. like this lady tried to get them stuck in the imaginary world. Like, what is wrong with you? We thought you was on our side.
You know what? I thought that she wasn't, like, after a while, like, to me, it was given. First of all, the imaginary world was definitely given the further, but imaginary land. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't know, something about her just felt off to me. I felt like in the beginning, I was like, okay, maybe she knows a lot more and she just doesn't want to reveal it, you know. But then when they got there and she was acting all like really enticed by the imaginary land, I was like, okay, we have to watch out for this old ass lady. Like, watch out for her, for real. And then when she had locked them in there, I was like, I knew it. I knew I couldn't trust her old ass. Like, I was just so done. And I think that's one of the better parts. Some people that are like a little bit better at movies than we are might have saw that from the beginning. I didn't necessarily get that immediately, but I started getting that when she came into the imaginary land. I was like, oh, okay. And then she died within like 3.5 seconds, and I was like, well, okay. Like, no, for real. I was like, okay. But, you know, it was... that was a very entertaining part to me. But also what irritated me on top of the entertaining part was it seemed like Taylor was willing to hear what was going on after a while, but then it was like, my sister, she's stuck, like she's lost. And I'm like, do you guys think teenagers talk like this? I really want in horror movies for them to stop doing things with teenagers and actually start talking to real teenagers, because I was a teenager, you were a teenager, and the new age teenagers. I don't think teenagers talk like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, I guess, for adults to really know how a teenager is going to interact with the world, I guess. But yeah, I hate teenage acting. Not the actors themselves, but the writing for teenagers. It's, you either get one of two things. Either it's very, very overboard, where it's just like, that's not how they talk. Or it's just completely out of left field. Like, they really don't talk like that. Like, I've never heard a teenager say that in my life.
But you can't forget about the middle ground, like with things from back in the day. Like, Fear was pretty good for a teenager talk.
Yeah.
Even though there's some parts like with the whole friend getting raped by him, and she's like, "Oh, I hate you," and like, I don't think a teenager would see her friend get yoked up by another man and be like, "Oh, you slept with him? I hate you." Like, girl, like, no. But it has some pretty good teenage dialogue for the most part, should I say?
Yeah. Well, I like Fear, so yeah. I mean, but I feel like, honestly, some of the older movies do it a little bit better. Like, even when you talk about like, it's not one of those type of movies, but like even like The Breakfast Club, like, I felt like those interactions were something that I could really see happening in a real life high school. But again, this is the 80s, so it's like,
I mean,
you got to take that into consideration.
It's a little over
too.
the top, but even Jawbreaker I can see happening in like those schools where like, oh, the popular girls and all that. I mean, I don't really know nothing about that. I mean, not being that person, but I mean, I grew up in a predominantly black school, so I mean,
Correct.
Popular girls weren't like
that.
Yeah, they weren't like that. They weren't clicked up and, oh, this is my bathroom and all that stuff. But I'm saying, like, in those movies, like, I can see that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these teenager movies, especially horror ones, it's like, what do you think that they actually talk about? Like, because it's definitely not that.
And like you said, like you literally said, why not talk to actual teenagers? Because I mean, especially if it's like their first, if it's like their first role, they're probably not going to they're not going to read their script and be like, yo, this is trash, you need to change how they speak. Like, they're just going to be happy to get the role, you know? But you need to really, while you're still in the writing phase of it, have some teenagers read it. Even if you don't want to have them read it, just let's talk to them and be like, okay, what do y'all do? How do you interact with your friends? Mm-hmm. You know, there's so much that you can do to help alleviate that. But y'all, a lot of these people, they just be like, no, this is it. I know I fucked it up. This is perfect.
No, seriously.
And it's sad. It's sad. It really is. But, you know, that's what we have to deal with, because they've continued to do it over many, many years. I could say for at least the past 10 years, for sure. Since 2014, specifically, I can remember almost every movie that had teenagers in it being just really bad with dialogue.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't, and the reason I give that timeline, because I can't really remember too many before that, like 2010 to 2013. I don't really remember too many teenager movies that I watched around that time to be like, oh, you know this is bad.
And we always talk about, we always make that joke about our horror movies, and we're like, okay, I know y'all even the shitty teenage, and it was kind of shitty to me, the shitty teenage dialogue in The Ring, we had very minimal of it. It made more sense than any of the shitty ass dialogue you have in any of these horror movies.
For sure. Yeah. The dialogue is just not good. I mean, and honestly, that's just teenager. Let's not even get into just adult dialogue.
Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
Yeah, some adult dialogue is really bad too. And
I would say because I paused it because we were I was watching it before we started doing our episode. Even Talk to Me had better dialogue than what the fuck this shit is going on.
But Talk to Me, for me at least, it's an anomaly with the writing in the past years. Talk to Me, writing wise, has been I'm not a huge rewatcher of movies or TV shows. Yeah, I'm not. I will rewatch them over time, but I don't really watch them back to back, even multiple days in a row usually. But when you put on Talk to Me, I can sit there and watch it because it's good. It's just really, really good writing. Granted, you stop it at a certain point but that's because you've watched it so many times. It's you just want to see the really good parts.
Yeah, cause I mean, you know how I feel. Once it gets to the middle towards the end, it's really not that great. So I mean, no offense. It's just that's how I feel about it. But yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, if you got to think of all the great writing that happened up to that, they kind of wrote themselves into a tough spot. Yeah, a tough spot where it's
it got to that point where where we feel it's good, and then it feels rushed writing at that point. And you don't have to do that. You really don't. You know what? Now that I think about it, because I'm thinking about this right now, even Stay Alive had shitty ass young adult writing too, because I think they were they're like, what, 21 or whatever the hell, over the age. But the point of it is, it was shitty writing. Like, the movie's still good to me. I still like it, but it was shitty writing. It had nothing to do with how bad that writing was as teenagers. So, you know, there's that. But before I forget where I was going to go at some point, I did like the fact that when Jess was talking to the kids and everything like that, and she went to go pull up Alice's sleeve on her arm, and she realized her scar wasn't there. And
when she was
like,
in that imaginary.
and she was like, "Oh, I never left." Like, that realization was like, like, it sunk in me, like, oh damn. Like, but it was like, I got it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because some stuff, like, when it happens like that, you're like, oh, this person's not out yet, like, whatever. I actually was like, okay, we got the good cue music going, the girl's calling her mom, this is great. But when she moved her sleeve up, I was like, is this like the ring, like it just goes away after a while, like her scar, like what's that? Like, but then when she's like, I haven't left yet, and I was like, oh shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was actually good to me. Like, those, like, little small reveals. It just, think of it like a bunch of horror movies mixed into one. You have a little bit of Hereditary. You have a little bit of The Ring. You have a little bit of Sinister. You have a little bit of, like, Talk to Me. And then you got a little bit of Phone Booth for the most part. And, like, you have so many different, like, small attributes mixed into one. But then you have, like, you know, the same, what's the word I want to say? The same blueprint for horror movies. You still got the same, oh, here's the jump scares, here's this and the third, but you do have some nuances that are actually pretty good. So I did enjoy that when it comes to this movie, for sure.
Yeah.
Like the Boogeyman, I'm sorry. You get like the original Boogeyman from back in the day. You know, you get like a little bit of that with a little bit of Darkness Falls mixed into it. You know what I'm saying? So I do like that they play on things like that, because we were the generation that grew up with that type of shit. Like, oh, you know, there's the Boogeyman. And then, you know, like, we came from a generation where they took, like, little innocent things like, oh, like, look at this tooth fairy. She's gonna come take your tooth and give you money. Like, no, bitch, she finna kill you in the middle of the night. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, oh, I'm scared of the Boogeyman. Yeah, that nigga finna kill you in the middle of the dark. Like, what's up? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I like that they took, like, those little small things and made it kind of a really big thing. Again, it just, some of the things they did were really good, and some of the things they did, I was like, you didn't need to do all that.
Yeah. I do want to go back to what you had said about the that reveal. I don't know if I thought she was still in it, but when she escaped, I definitely thought that was a little too easy. Like, I just felt like that was a little too easy, because, you know, when her dad helped her get out the first time when she was a little girl, you know, Chauncey was right at the, like, when he was trying to close the door, he was right there trying to, you know, so it was just like,
well, you remember what I was like, paint the door like your dad did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it was just like, you know, I'm just like, it was just too easy of an escape. Like, Chauncey wasn't super close to the door. Just, I don't know. It just felt like he moved too slow as she was getting through that door. Like, I'm like, if you really wanted her, you moving too slow, my guy. And then when it moved on to the next thing, I was like, like I said, I don't know if I thought when that scene happened, I don't know if I was, like, my brain wasn't thinking, like, she's still there, but I was just, like I said, I just thought she got away way too easy.
Right.
And then there was the reveal, she's still in there. And I was like, it makes sense. It makes sense on why it was so easy. Like, you know, like,
right.
But they did
oh.
What?
No, I want you to continue. I was gonna say, oh, and a little sprinkle of damn, what's that movie called? Oh, that's fucked up. No, hold on. I got it, hold on. Damn.
That's her nails, by the way.
Fuck you. Anyway, what is the damn movie called?
I don't know. Give me some.
The one, it was new for the most part. The one where it's kind of like It Follows, but you pass the disease from people. Smile.
Oh, okay, yeah, Smile.
So it was a little bit sprinkle of Smile in her too. Because remember when we thought she was out, and it was like, oh, Oh, never mind. No, she's not.
Oh yeah, that crazy, like, and
But I think her saying it was more what got me. Her realizing it and smile was more like, oh, okay, hold up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it was a little deeper with the physical feeling as opposed to the actual the verbiage that she put into this movie. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna continue on what you were saying because I was like, yeah, and Smile, they did it. They did it perfectly because she had a whole, like, she had the drive back to the city. She had a whole day. She lived a whole 24 hours before you realize she was still back at the house. Like, and I'm just like, it threw me for a loop because I'm like, okay, it's over. The light, she going back to life. A whole 24 hours has passed. But nah, with this one, it was quick. It was just like, okay, they come in and...
I'm sorry, I don't want to keep interrupting. I don't want to keep interrupting you. I don't even think I said it right the first time. The reason why it didn't feel like that to me, because the movie already felt long as fuck. And that's probably why I didn't feel like... I might feel differently the second time I see it, but that's probably why I didn't feel like that the first time. Because I was like, okay, this movie long as shit. Whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I really thought we was at our wits' end at that point. But... you're probably right. It probably was quicker than normal. But, yeah, it just didn't feel like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, for me, just that specific scene was for, like, where it just, the reveal of it just wasn't as impactful. Because, like I said, like, I'm just saying as far as the impact of, like, I'm not saying the scene itself. I'm not even saying that the scene itself needed to be longer. I'm just saying that the impact that you have in Smile, it's more, you feel it more because she had time. Like I said, like a whole day passed.
Right.
And then they're like, oh no, you're still there. And it's just like, what? And it was like psychological because, yeah, it's like 24 hours passed in her mind, but it probably was like an hour, if that.
About 30 minutes.
Like, so
20, 30 minutes, what they say, especially when you're dreaming. I may know she was a dream, but like, if she was awake / dreaming.
Yeah.
And they say them dreams, like, now, I know for me, I've had dreams that felt like it was been 4 or 5 days, and I woke up like, nigga, it's only been an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
same. And I think every person has too. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why, like I said, the impact of finding out that she was still there, I felt it more. Where in Imaginary it was just like, oh, I never left, huh? And it was just like, oh.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I guess that also is also because, like I said, I had already in my brain was like, she got away too easy. So it was just like, makes sense for me. So yeah, but it was still a pretty decent movie. It was better than what I had thought.
Yeah. It definitely was better. I mean, I expected what I saw. Yeah. And I'm not saying everything, but I'm saying like I said, the jump scares, the cliche family dynamic. I expected all that. I don't know. Maybe they just gotta stop filming. I don't care what nobody say. That house is the same house from Ouija and Ouija Origin of Evil. Y'all gotta stop filming movies in that house, except for Ouija Origin of Evil, because that was good. But I'm just saying, like, it just seems like y'all don't never get no good nothing out of them houses every time y'all film out of there. I say what I say. But I mean, for me, I'm gonna kind of wrap it up a little bit. I don't have too much to say about it, so I'm gonna kind of wrap it up. For me, on a scary scale, I'd give it about like maybe a 4 or 5. Could definitely probably watch it in a house with a pentagram spray paint on the wall, a Ouija board in the house, maybe a Chucky doll or two. Jason Maz, something. But as a movie scale, I'd probably give it like a 6.5. You know, maybe 7. Like concept alone, execution, all that. But I mean, it could have been better. It could always be better. I don't know. I'm just kind of like that when it comes to movies like that, especially when you play on like little kid fears, like having imaginary friends. You know, especially for kids who it resonates with, because we both talk about we didn't have imaginary friends. So people who do have them, I mean, maybe that resonated with a different fear of yours. Me, no. So, you know, and shout out to y'all, because having an imaginary friend is probably insane to me. Like, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I'm like, you to have somebody you're talking to constantly that's not even there, that's wild. So shout out to y'all. But I mean, it wasn't my go-to. It wasn't something that I could say, like, okay, like, I mean, I would definitely buy it on DVD and watch it. But I'm not saying, like, it would be, like, something I just pick up and be like, yo, facts, like, we finna be scared tonight. We finna watch Imaginary. You know what I mean? Like, it's something I will watch with the kids. I mean, not trying to be rude, but it's almost like The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. Like, I'm finna put it on. Like, me and the kids finna watch it.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm gonna do my little rating too. I give it on a scary scale. Yeah, about a 3-4. Like and like you said, it's because I never had an imaginary friend, and it just don't hit like that for me. Yeah, it just didn't hit on fears that I've had. Like, I was more afraid, had a jump, like, and it wasn't even afraid, it just, like, it made me jump when when the girl's mom jumped out of her room and attacked Jesper. Like, that was a little creepy, because it's like, yo, how the hell you get in my house? Like, how we, like, like just like with the Exorcist Believer, like, how did you get, like, these people just be coming up in people's houses? I mean, in her case is a little different, because those are her daughters, so all she would have had to do was...
don't even go here, like...
Facts, but I'm saying, but it makes more sense that she would have been able to get in. In Exorcist Believer, it's like, yo, how'd you get in my house? Like,
no, like, why are you even here?
I swear. So, like, yeah, it just didn't hit for me as far as, like, scary is concerned. So 3-4. As a movie, I would say a 6. Like I said, it was entertaining. I liked it. It did do certain things with the reveals, which brought it up, because I was gonna give it a 5. But I gave it a 6 because I felt like the reveals with the old lady, with even though I knew because of the trailer, even finding out that it was her old imaginary friend who is pissed off at her, that was pretty cool. And the fact of the bear never existed.
Yeah.
We're seeing it, she's seeing it, but nobody else was seeing it.
That part was the best reveal about the whole movie.
Literally. And that, I felt like that was able to push it up one more point from 5.
Also, them never telling us the origin of it, because sometimes that is very good. Just not knowing where it comes from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, I appreciate how they threw in that it's not just a her thing. Like, kids all over are having this issue.
Remember the end of that movie?
Yeah.
When the kid was talking and
they were like, "Oh, let's go to a different
hotel."
Yeah, facts.
Yo, she was out with them crutches. She said, "Get the hell out of here." He's like, he's not imaginary. He's real. Fuck all that.
Mm-hmm. That's all I need to hear too. After what we just went through, that's all I need to hear. Let's go somewhere else.
God, our kids never had imaginary friends, because
right,
absolutely not.
Swear, you know. I mean, I thought if anybody, I thought it would have been JJ, because of, you know, with the pillow and stuff. Mm-hmm. But luckily she had something, like it was a pillow, like she had something that she was able to...
Not an imaginary pillow that we thought we saw.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, So yeah, like we never had it. Our kids, thank goodness, have never had that. But yeah, it like I said, it was a decent movie. But
yeah, I would say go see it and let us know how you guys feel about it. With that being said, stay horror, stay creepy. Remember, all the time, it's always horror season. Okay? It's always spooky season. All year round. I don't give a damn if it's Christmas. I don't care if it's your birthday and it's in the middle of July. It's always spooky season. You know what I'm saying? How dare y'all? I'm just playing. But love you guys. Mwah. And stay up and stay horror and stay creepy and talk to your imaginary friends. Tell us what they say to you. Horror fans unite!
2 fingers.